Querida gente de Mundo Whisky, desde la prestigiosa destilería Macallan aquí en Escocia, vamos a vivir una jornada inolvidable y la queremos compartir con todos ustedes. En el día de hoy no va a estar mi amiga Margaret porque está justo de vacaciones en Nueva Zelanda, pero bueno, viviremos lo mejor posible esta visita a la gran destilería. Al ingresar al Untitled Center nos encontramos con un display con una exhibición de botellas que están a la venta al público, como Macallan Terra, Lumina, Quest. Aquí tenemos Macallan Gold, Macallan Oscuro, el Cash 30 años, otros 25 años más de Macallan. Si quieren saber el precio de 25 años aquí, en la destilería cuesta 1.495 libras. Bueno, aquí tenemos el 12 años que tenemos en Buenos Aires, el Old Cask, el de los maestros de fotografía, 2.700 libras esterlinas, Macallan 18 años, otro 25 años, ahí lo pueden apreciar, Macallan Reflection. Más arriba tenemos el Edition 2 y el Edition 4, el que tenemos en el Museo del Whisky. Otra edición de Macallan Oscuro, Macallan 25, Macallan 18. El famoso AIM, 5.400 libras esterlinas. Calculemos que esta botella cuesta 400 y algo de 1.000 pesos en la República Argentina a cambio de hoy. Estas son las nuevas ediciones de Red Cask del batch número 1. Ya en la Argentina tenemos el número 2 nosotros. Si continuamos por aquí, tenemos acá desde el cuay más pequeño al más grande de Macallan. Imagínense que esto cuesta 180 libras esterlinas. Remeras de la empresa, llaveros, unos pins nuevos. Miren esta joyita, bueno, la famosa Macallan 72 años de cristal de la LIC con su estuche. Aquí tenemos una edición que cuesta 1.500 libras, que es de los maestros de fotografía. En el libro, ese es el estuche original, el libro y el espacio para que la botella quede dentro del libro. 1.500 libras y tiene apenas medio litro. Aquí tenemos en exhibición y a la venta en 3.325 libras el Macallan número 6, también muy buscado para coleccionismo, una excelente inversión. ¿Por qué no pasamos a ver la colección privada que tiene Macallan aquí en la destilería? Bueno, a pesar de que he visitado infinidad de veces Macallan, esta es la primera vez que conozco esta destilería, la más moderna del mundo, y aquí, como es la primera vez que no nos recibe Tom Hughes o mi amiga Margaret porque está de vacaciones, ellos trasladaron toda la colección que tenían en el Elquis, la trajeron aquí, a este lugar, y la exhibieron de esta forma. Es una maravilla, realmente lo que tienen aquí es algo incalculable. Gracias a la empresa por permitirnos filmar aquí dentro, que no se puede. Nos encontramos con series únicas. Y estas son todas botellas que no están a la venta. Son todas de exhibición que la destilería propone para cada uno que decida acceder a este lugar, a este espacio, que es un espacio único y realmente admirable, una cosa para destacar entre todas las destilerías de Escocia. Esto es algo maravilloso lo que estamos viviendo hoy. Esta es una cámara que tenemos aquí para acercarla, posicionarla sobre una botella y ver la descripción del producto. Aquí está toda la descripción de este producto. Se puede subir, elegir otra botella, bajar. Aquí centramos esta botella ahí y sale la de este producto. Es una cosa maravillosa. Realmente lo que han logrado en esta destilería es una cosa maravillosa. Y aquí están las botellas más antiguas que tiene la destilería. Ustedes no tienen idea de lo que cuesta cada botella de estas. Hay Macallan de 1910, 1920. Hay réplicas. Encima, nosotros tenemos la réplica de esta botella, de esta botella. Son botellas carísimas, carísimas. Realmente hay botellas de $300.000, $200.000. Es una locura la exhibición que tiene esta gente. Muchas de aquellas botellas de la serie que está ahí nosotros tenemos de varias añadas, pero esto es único.
Before we go inside the distillery today, I always like to pass it over to my guests and get their opinion. So, what do you think? It's a beautiful building. So this is our brand new visitors experience and distillery. It was completed in November of 2017, and that's when the new distillery went operational. And then we opened the visitors experience to the public on the 2nd of June 2018. So even now, you guys are still some of the first guests we've had through the doors. So it's a pleasure to see you all today. This is an absolutely incredible building. It was designed for us by an architecture firm called Rogers, Stirk, Harbour and Partners, based down in London. You may have seen some of their designs before. The Shard building in the heart of London, Madrid International Airport, and Tower 3 of the World Trade Center in New York City as well. They are known for these stunning, unique designs, and this one is no different as well. This has been described as a beehive, as a spaceship, as a hobbit hole. I'm still not sure what I think about the hobbit hole comment, but it is a unique, absolutely stunning building. The roof is made up of 380,000 individual component parts, made of Finnish wood, taken to Austria for completion and then assembled here on site. When you came up the walkway or the cut this morning, you would have seen that the distillery undulates. The roof is like that. Now, this is not because our engineers were drinking Macallan during the construction. This is because it was a remit with the architects. We wanted this building to be a part of the local landscape and resemble the rolling hills of Speyside as well. The building is approximately 207 metres in length from top to bottom, and at its highest point, which is this pod here, it is approximately 27 metres in height. each one of the panels of the roof contains about 10 centimetres of topsoil above it. And again, this was a remit with the architects. We've seeded this with wildflowers, wild grasses and local shrubs, and we're going to let it grow wild so it slowly becomes a part of the land. If anyone was fortunate enough to visit the old Macallan distillery, the old Macallan distillery is about 500 yards over that way. It has been mothballed, it is no longer operational. Now the new old distillery needed a lot of love and care and attention. So the decision was taken to build something new, to bring us right into the 20th century properly in this brand new, extremely modern facility. So we have not moved anything from the old distillery. All the washbacks, the old mash tun, the spirit safes and the stills are all still there. The stills that we have in this new facility here have been built brand new. A company called Forsyths, who are in a nearby town called Rothes, came in and took something called a death mask mould of the inside and outside of our stills and then recreated them to the millimetre, which has allowed us to produce the same consistency of our new make spirit. The new distillery is also one of the only fully automated distilleries in the world. At this moment in time, there are 2 operators on duty controlling every aspect of the production in here. From the temperatures, from the pH balancers, the water supply, the heating, everything is controlled by our operators with our very advanced computer system in the distillery as well. So not only is it a work of art on the outside, it's a technological marvel on the inside as well. I'm very proud to work here and I'm very proud to show you guys around this magnificent, magnificent facility as well. Welcome to the Macallan. So at this distillery, we have 36 stills. We have 12 wash stills, 4 per pod, and 24 spirit stills. Our washbacks you can see behind you are the stainless steel vessels that are about chin height. This is where we start to produce the first alcohol. Now in a lot of distilleries for Scotch whisky, they will have wooden washbacks. Now the reason we have stainless steel ones is they're much easier to maintain, and the process that happens within here is the same process no matter if the area is made of wood, stainless steel, glass or plastic. It's the same process that's occurring. We have some of the smallest stills on Speyside as well, and they give us this rich, thick spirit that will make every bottle of Macallan that little bit special as well. Some distilleries don't have them, some distilleries have bigger ones than us. It's a more recent development for Scotch making, having a wash charger of this size as well. Depends on the size of the place as well. For a smaller distillery, they probably wouldn't use it, they just transfer straight to the wash stills. These 2 small stills represent the Macallan's curiously small spirit stills. These larger stills are from one of our competitors. So, we will fill the low wines into our curiously small stills. Using steam again, we will boil the material over a time frame of about 4 to 5 hours. This again will create alcohol vapor, which will rise into the neck of the still, drift down the arm, into the condenser, and then will be cooled into a liquid again. Now this runoff, this outrun, has 3 names. Does anyone know the names of the 3 parts of the spirit run? We have the heads, the hearts, and the tails. So the heads are the first part to come off, the first alcohol to come off. This is also known as the foreshots. This is any alcohol above 72% volume. It's a little bit strong for us to use at this point. The last part of the run is called the tails. This is any alcohol beneath 68%. This is too weak for us to use. So the heads and the tails will be stored in the same tank and then returned back into the spirit stills with the next batch of the low wines. And we'll try and extract every bit of goodness from this material. Anything we can't use will be taken to our water treatment facility on site before being returned back to the water table. What we want to collect is this, the heart. The heart is any alcohol between 72% volume and 68% volume. We will collect this, the computers will sense the drop in the alcohol volume and open a valve to a fresh container, a fresh spirit receiver. We will fill this with heart, and then we will fill in a small amount of cold water. This water will lower the percentage of that spirit to exactly 63.5%. New make spirit. This is what we want. This spirit is the first footsteps of the Macallan. It's bursting with flavour. It's thick, it's oily, it's viscous. It's because of our stills. The smaller the still, the less distance that vapour has to travel before it's collected and returns to a liquid. Some of the competitors have these larger stills, and as the vapour rises, it has to go further and further and further. It may drop back into these reflux chambers and then rise again. Spirit that's produced in the larger stills will exhibit softer flavour profiles and have a softer mouthfeel and texture. Now there's nothing wrong with this, but we at the Macallan have always produced a thick, oily spirit, and it's made our whisky stand out from the crowd as well. Once we have our new make spirit, we will pump it through the piping systems underneath the distillery about 1 kilometre to the top of the estate where our cask area is. It'll be filled to cask and then taken to warehouses to start its maturation. This is Easter Elchies. This is the spiritual home of the Macallan. Now in the Macallan's history, there are 3 dates that are of vital importance to our heritage. In 1700 was the first date of note. This is when the house was built. It was built by a soldier named Captain John Grant. He built this house as a holiday home. His family were based in Granton-on-Spey. Mr. Grant operated the estate here as well as a number of the farms on the estate which had illicit stills operating them. If you've not heard that term, illicit still, it basically means illegal distillery. So Mr. Grant's family were here until the late 1750s when the house and the estate passed into the possession of the Earl of Seafield, and the Seafield family owned this land until about 1961. 1824 is a crucial date in the history of the Macallan. 1824 is when the distillery was officially founded. The largest of the farms here had a still in it, and it was operated by a tenant farmer named Alexander Reed. Mr. Reed founded the Macallan. For the pricely sum of £10, he acquired the first licence to distill alcohol on this estate. He also founded the name Macallan. Now, as far as we're aware, there is not a clan Macallan. It comes from two sources, we believe. The first part, the Mac, comes from the Scottish Gaelic word macer, which means fertile soil, in reference to the land and the crops grown here for years and years. The second part comes from an association with a church that was once on this estate that was known as St. Fillan's Church. Now, the church was burnt down in the year 1400, so it's not been standing for a while, but the remains still are on the estate. And Mr. Reid took the name Fillan and Macer, and over the years, the anglicisation of the local Scots accent and language has shortened this to Macallan. So that's where the name comes from, we believe. Mr. Reid's family and others operated here throughout the 1800s until 1892, when our true founding father arrived at the estate. This gentleman's name was Roderick Kemp, formerly the manager at Talisker Distillery over on the Isle of Skye. Mr. Kemp did something never before done. He used an advanced technique. He started to mature his spirit in sherry casks. And this is where the Macallan was truly founded. This is the first time this has been done on this estate, and this is a system that we still use to this day, maturing the majority of our new make spirit in these oak sherry casks. Now, Mr. Kemp's family thrived here on the estate, and the distillery grew bigger throughout the 1900s until 1996, when the company was bought by Highland Distillers, and then in 1999 when the Edrington Group took over the Macallan as well. Unfortunately, the house did not fare as well as the distillery. It was not really cared for throughout the 1900s. And in 1961, the Macallan distillery actually bought the house and started changing it, and it eventually became our first visitor centre. And then when Highland Distillers took over, it became our corporate headquarters. We entertain guests and corporate guests from all over the world in here. Now, unfortunately, it's not open to the public, guys, so you won't be able to have a wander around it, but please have a look in the gardens, the beautiful gardens, and our herd of Highland cattle, or Highland coos, should just be in the field behind these Sir Elkies. What I can show you is what it may have looked like when Mr. Kemp's family took possession of the estate. So the inside has been beautifully renovated with a dining room, music room, kitchen, and a number of bedrooms upstairs as well. I especially like the little upright piano which is in this room as well. Can somebody do me a favour? Can one of you guys find me a bottle of whiskey in this house as well? Get a bit closer, guys. There is a bottle of whiskey in here. It might not be as big. Ah, there it is. That little bottle contains 25-year-old Macallan. It's one of the smallest bottles of whiskey ever produced. And just so you're aware, it is glued down securely. So if it's not here for the next tour, we know who to speak to. This table here represents the oak we use to produce our casks. We use the finest oak sourced in northern Spain, and as well as an area of the Appalachian Mountains in the USA. So we'll use a dark Spanish oak and a light white American oak. And we will also use a very small amount of ex-bourbon casks. We work we work very closely with a company known as Heaven Hill, based in Kentucky, and we will use their bourbon casks for a small amount of our spirit as well. These casks will give us 80% of the final aroma and flavour of our whiskies. So what I'm going to show you now, guys, I'd like you to follow me into this contraption here. This is called the wood story, and you will see the journey of our casks from saplings to finished products. So either side of me, you're going to start seeing little saplings begin to pop out of the ground. At this side is a little European oak. This is growing in northern Spain, in the area around Bilbao and the Bay of Biscay. At the other side of me here is a little American oak, an American white oak growing in the foothills of North Carolina in the Appalachian Mountains in the USA. The European oak is known for its dark bark and its thick wood. Colour-wise, this will give the spirit that is matured in these European oak casks rich colours of golden brown, burnt caramel, even hinting on deep, rich burgundy colours coming through in the colour scheme of the spirit. Flavour-wise, you're going to start to get these oak smoke spices, dried fruits, deep, rich characteristics like toffee, bitter chocolate, sometimes even hinting on leather and tobacco flavours flowing through, dark, rich flavour schemes. Its cousin, the American oak, will have the opposite effect. This will give you colour schemes of rich gold, soft, zesty lemon colours, sometimes some rich amber colorations coming through, and flavour-wise, softer flavours, soft fruits, apples, floral notes, citrus, tropical elements coming through, as well as ginger, cinnamon and nutmeg, soft spices. If you imagine that this oak will give you the summertime fragrances and colours, and the European oak will give you the wintertime or the Christmas time colorations and flavours. At the Macallan, we have a team called the Masters of Wood. These are the men and women who will allocate our trees, who will find our trees and fell them, working closely with the forestry commissions of these regions. For every tree that is cut, we will plant 2 in its place. When the trees are cut down between the ages of 80 and 120 years old, they'll be taken to timber yards and made into staves around about this size, and then left to dry naturally for between 5 and 8 years. After this natural drying process has concluded, they'll be transported to the southern area of Spain, and we will work closely with a number of cooperages in the southern part of Spain, and these cooperages have been making sherry for a long number of years. So then guys, feel free to stand in these gaps and see the coopering process in action. So this table, this pillar represents the natural colour found in all of our whiskies, and some of these beautiful sample jars and bottles over here as well. The natural colour that comes from the casks. 100% of the colour that you find in every single bottle of the Macallan is from its time maturing in our oak casks. There are some distillers who will add something called a distiller's caramel to their spirit, and this will either darken or lighten the colour scheme. We have never used this, and we're not starting now. These lighter colours over here represent the influence of the American oak, the softer, lighter, zestier colours. And over at this side, the darker colour schemes represent the influence of the European oak. A lot of our whiskies tend to fall into this beautiful middle category, especially one of my personal favourites, the 12-year-old double cask, which falls just perfectly into about this area here as well. So everyone, welcome to our private bar. This is the Cave Privé. This is our exclusive tasting bar for our tour hosts. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you in to this absolutely gorgeous bar. Now these casks are currently empty, but in the future this will be used as a bonded warehouse, and we will be maturing whiskey in here at some point in the future as well. But for now, it looks absolutely incredible. It's my favourite room in the distillery as well. So then guys, shall we have a wee drink?
Yes.
I think it's time. You've earned your drink. You've earned your drink today.